Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for making the time to be here today. Before we dive into the planning phase, let's start with a quick round of introductions. Just your name and maybe a little bit about what made you want to be involved in this project. I will go first. My name is Arina. To be honest, when I first heard about what happened in Putra Heights, about the explosion, it sparked fear, and also silence is also followed. It's really shook me. It's reminded me on how easily we overlook the safety of the environment we live in every day. I keep thinking about how many people probably walk past the same spot every day, never imagining something like that could happen. So this is what drew me here. I didn't want this to just be another tragic news story that fades away. I wanted us as a young people, student, citizen to do something, not just to raise awareness, but to make people feel heard, supported, and safer in their own neighborhoods. So I am really hopeful that together we can create something meaningful, not just a campaign, but community response that lasts. So introduce yourself, everyone.
Hi, I'm Ding Feng. I have the same view with Arena. I've always believed in practical solution, which mean things that actually get done. So I'm curious to see what kind of idea will come out and with how we can make them work within our means. So what about
Mm,
Laksana?
oh yeah, hi everyone. I'm Lakshana. I agree with Irina as well. I think I sympathize with the victims as well. And as for me, I've always been an artistic individual. So I've always been drawn to the creative side of things. I think that we can really make an impact if we use storytelling and visuals effectively. I think people tend to connect more to emotions rather than facts.
So I also am Sajid. So I'll be agreeing with Irina. What she have pointed is very good point first. Open eyes first, each and everyone. So I think for me, it's about making sure that we do something with not just a campaign, but something that community can actually experience. And I want them to learn the importance of the safety. I don't want it to be taken granted as usual.
Okay, thanks everyone for sharing. I really love the different perspective coming in. Now, here's the big question. What kind of program are we actually aiming for? And are we thinking of a public awareness campaign, a hands-on event, or a seminar? Okay, let's put everything on the table first, and we'll see what direction will most impactful and realistic based on our capacity.
I'd like to suggest something like a community mapping section or workshop where residents can literally point out where they are seeing the safety issues, such as like the faulty wires, the dark area, and etc. It's participatory and give it the community a voice, to where a chance to voice out their issues actually.
Mm, mm, that's a cool idea, but I think we should also think about reach. So, what if we create reels or visual content about safety tips and also real lived experiences? So, something that can live online and be shared, especially now with everything going viral.
I think I would agree with Laksana and Sajay, but those ideas are good, but I think we should be realistic too, because I'm a treasurer, so I'm quite sensitive with time and expenses. Because campaign take time and resources. Maybe a one-off seminar or panel with expert will make more impact in a shorter time, and also it might get media or consumer attention, in my perspective.
Okay. So right now we got almost three solid ideas on the table. Firstly, as mentioned by Sajay, a community workshop. And then Lakshana, you mentioned about a social media awareness campaign. And then Dinfeng, a seminar or panel with expert you mentioned, right? Okay. So do we want to go all in on one idea? or we see if there's any way to combine elements from a few?
I think picking an idea would be, a problem. Like all three of us ideas are actually great ideas. How about we open to like combining each and everything? Like the workshop can be the foundation. We can collect the community concern and stories. Then we can change it into the feed, into the social media content. It makes the campaign feel grounded and authentic.
Yeah, and for the social media content, right? I think we can interview residents at the workshop and we can film those interviews and then we can turn those videos into uh reels and stuff like that so that we can share it online as well. And then maybe we can even end it with a storytelling exhibition or even a sharing session.
Hmm. I'm okay with that, but I think we should narrow it down because if we are trying to do everything at one, like multitasking, it might get too scattered. So I think we need to stick with two things for now: the workshop and the online campaign. I think because just keep the seminar as longer term ideas.
That makes a lot of sense. So here, a working plan we can build on. Okay, some rough plan. Maybe we can start with a community workshop, which is we make a safe space for residents to voice concern and also share their stories. And then from that, we can develop a digital awareness campaign using a real experiences to create reels on Instagram, and so visual and content to for us to spread. And then if time and budget allow, we can wrap things up with a storytelling exhibition or sharing session. And yeah, I think that's all. So everyone comfortable with that structure?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. Yeah, I mean, and I think I'll also start taking out of content and visuals after we confirm the workshop. Yeah.
Agree as well with the structure. As the program coordinator, I would like to take charge of the planning of the structure of the workshop, like the flow, the logistic, or maybe some interactive parts of the program as well, the workshop.
Sounds good and manageable, I think. As long as we partner smart, which means we partner with local businesses or maybe NGO, I think we can keep the budget tight and still make an impact.
Okay, perfect. So I consider it's almost settled. Our campaign will be rooted in community voices and also amplified through digital storytelling. So from this way, it stays grounded and has it reach. All right, think. Now, we have decided on our direction. Let's move into planning mode. The campaign will focus on urban safety in Putra Heights. So here's the agenda for today. Firstly, we are going to finalize our objective. Secondly, we must identify our target audience. And then thirdly, we need to outline our core activities. And then fourthly, assess feasibility. And lastly, we must confirm the timeline. All right, let's kick things off with objective. From my side, here's what I'm trying to do. First, we can raise awareness about urban safety and emergency preparedness. Then we can also empower residents to report safety concern and share personal experiences. And we can use creative, accessible tools to increase basic safety knowledge. And also we can engage with authorities to advocate for safer infrastructure and community response. Do those align with what we're aiming for?
For me, for my parents, mostly yes. But I think it's a bit too general. Awareness is important. But what we are actually offering to the residents, you need something to like hands on, like add a basic safety education, things like fire drill or first aid workshops, especially for the vulnerable groups out there.
I hear Sajid, but those things can get expensive fast based on my experience because we have limited resources in terms of money. If we are not careful enough, we will burn through our budget before the campaign even gain momentum. So I would suggest we emphasize reporting and prevention. not necessarily like running a full scale training.
So I do agree with that, that things can get very expensive, real fast, especially when we tend to do things on a bigger scale. So why not we do it like in smaller forms? So we don't necessarily have to host like full-on classes. What if we do like bite-sized educational content instead? So like short videos on how to perhaps detect a gas leak, or emergency numbers that you need to know perhaps. So I think it's educational and also cheap.
Okay, that's a good point. I really like where all of this is heading. It's about finding that balance, not just spreading fear or generic tips, but sharing tools about and voices that actually resonate. Okay, let's revise our objective together to make sure they are strong and relevant. So firstly, we are going to raise awareness about urban safety and emergency preparedness, and then we are empowering residents to report hazard and share personal experiences, and then we are going to use creative, accessible education tools to improve everyday safety knowledge, and also we are going to advocate for improved infrastructure through engagement with local authorities.
I think for personally, I have to agree with Irina's refined objective actually. For my personal point of view, I think about the rest she have mentioned about the creative accessibility education tool actually really makes sense for me. Let's make the campaign like useful and sustainability for the community actually.
Mm. I agree with Sanjay and Irina, so I'm good with that. So if we lean into digital content and partner smart, I think it definitely would doable.
I think the objectives are actually very well aligned, and I think it also gives us more creative flexibility with the campaign.
Okay, great. It sounds like we are all aligned. Now, I'm going to move on to our next thing, which is target audience.
Mm.
Okay, from my perspective, our key focus should be on Putra Height residents, especially families with young children and elderly, also youth. So these groups are often the most affected when safety issues arise, and they might not always know who to turn to. What do you guys think?
I think I have to agree with Irina, but we just don't have to focus on families, youth, and the senior citizens actually. I think we are overlooking certain criteria of the part as well, like the local shops owner and the workers. They interact with the public infrastructure every single day. The broken pavement, the exposed wire, and electrical or the lightning issues around the street. Yes, they notice the thing that residents might not overlook sometimes. Plus, they are rooted in the community as long as the communities are there actually.
Hmm. I'm quite agree with Sajay, and that's a good point, Sajay. Involving business owner could also help with sustainability. If they feel invested, they might maintain improvement or even chip in resources long after the campaign ends.
So I think I actually would like to see this from a different perspective. I think we should perhaps include families that are directly affected by the recent explosion, you know, and they wouldn't just act as beneficiaries, but also as storytellers. Their voices can sort of further humanize this campaign, and it can also make it more emotionally compelling as well, and also help others the urgency of urban safety. It fosters that urgency into the general public. Mm.
Absolutely. All of those are important. So I can sum it up where our target audience includes firstly families, youth, and senior citizen in Putra Heights. Then we have local business owners and workers, also that are directly impacted by the explosion, which is not only as beneficiaries, but storytellers and advocates. This
Mhm.
makes actually give our campaign both emotional depth and practical outreach. So everyone on board with that?
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. Okay. Now we are going to move into the rationale, which is actually the why behind this campaign. For me, the incident in Putra Heights was a clear signal that something needs to change. But more than that, it showed us how quiet people become after something like this happen, either because they are scared or because they don't think their voice will matter. So I want
Mm.
this. Hmm. So I want this campaign to be the opposite of silence. We are here to say your experience matters, your concern is valid, and your voice can lead to action. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about building a bridge between the community and the people who can make structural changes. So yes, awareness is the start, but the goal is real connection and impact.
Mm. Yeah, so in regard to voice, like you mentioned, I feel like people are aware that something is wrong, but just because they are aware doesn't mean that they always know what to do about it or how to act upon it. So I think we should show them that they have a voice and their voice can lead to real change. And I think that itself is a very powerful notion.
Yeah, I agree with Laksana. So, and look, I think from a budget standpoint, as a treasurer, this is a preventive measure because if you raise awareness now, you avoid costly problem down the line, and it is smart use of limited resources and not just a noble.
That's it. Exactly. And it's easier to get support from local authorities when we can show a clear origin story. Where have Lakshana mentioned where the effective family member story telling it should be very effective. I think we can use that idea for the local authorities. Like, hey, this came from the ground up from what residents actually experienced. It make our case even stronger. We have like quite proper backbone support actually.
Mm. I think honestly, the personal stories, they actually add depth to the campaign. It's one thing to just say, oh, poor infrastructure is dangerous, but it's another to have someone talk about how they almost lost their child because of a loose wire. I think people tend to resonate with that more, and they also tend to remember that and sort of feel that more.
Exactly. So we're not just talking about the community, we are involving them directly. That's what makes this campaign different. It's not just informative, it's about participatory.
Mm.
However, awareness, action, accountability, that is still our foundation. Okay. All right. Is everyone on track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now into the activities. Based on what we have discussed earlier, here's the working plan. Okay, first, we will organize a community workshop where residents can voice their concern and help us identifying the key safety issues. Then we will create a digital awareness campaign using content from the workshop to make reels in Instagram, code cards, or visual storytelling. And if resources allow, we will close the campaign with a mini exhibition or storytelling night where we showcasing resident experiences and solution. Does it sounds good to everyone?
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. For me, let's make the workshop more interactive, including a mapping section where the resident can pinpoint the safety issue to us. So it gives them like, agency to go through actually.
Yeah, totally. And I think we can also film those sessions and turn them into reels or even visuals for social media. Maybe we can even have like an exhibition that showcases their stories.
I agree with Sajid and Laksana. It is a good idea, but I think we need to keep it focused and execute it step by step. So at the early stage, I think maybe we can do the workshop and digital campaign first, and save the exhibition as a stretch goal if we have resources in terms of money or time later on.
Mm. Agreed. So our campaign activities will be community workshop where we collect input, stories, and issues. Also, digital awareness campaign where we make reels on Instagram, poster quotes from the workshop, and then optional storytelling exhibition depending on capacity. So everyone aligned?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So let's move to feasibility. Here's what we are currently counting on. Firstly is volunteer manpower. We can mostly pick them from our team and networks. Also, we can use free platform like Instagram, TikTok, or maybe Canva for editing. And then we can use the possible support from local businesses or NGOs for sponsorship or maybe space. If we stay smart and strategic, I believe this this is going to be very doable.
I think we can also check into like UCAM network where they already established a proper network actually throughout their WhatsApp, the Telegram, and their Instagram. You know, in UCAM network, I think there's students have so many groups, particularly a few organization as well, that we can use them as a stepping stone for our program. And then for like residents, I think they already have like a WhatsApp group for their residents area, in like you know, each taman, each lorong for itself. Then we can use that as a stepping stone to spread our campaign words actually.
This idea, I think, totally is feasible as long as we are budget tightly and prioritize high impact or even low cost idea.
I think digital content, right? It's mostly free, and I think it would be wise to utilize and take advantage of that. But I think we should also consider the time and effort here. But don't worry about that. I'll start planning visuals as soon as we confirm the workshop date.
Okay. All right, great, everyone. Lastly, let's sketch out our timeline. In the first month, we are going to have our awareness phase, where first one is going to be for us to do the teaser posters and intro reels. And then we are going to start getting the community curious and engaged. Okay. In the second one, we are going to make a workshop and fieldwork where we hold the main workshop. And also from that, we can collect stories, data, photos, and also input from residents. And then the third month, we are going to make a campaign rollout where in this month, we launch full digital content and also we make optional storytelling night, but it's still depending on resources and response. So how does that feels to everyone?
I think for me the timeline sounds perfect. Actually, I think we are forgetting something. No, let's leave a small space for feedback and adjustment after the workshop actually. That way we can adjust based on what we learn and we can know what kind of feedback we are getting from the community as well.
Yes, I agree with Sajay. And also, I think we need to have a backup plan because it's quite important in terms of money. In case our budget is tightened midway, so we need to create a scenario planning like what if. Yeah.
I
So
think
I
that is
think
sorry. I think that is a solid timeline. I'll post countdowns or behind the scenes clips leading up to each phase, keeping the community engaged. Yeah, if that works.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we got not much time left, and yeah, I just want to wrap things up. Okay, we are building a campaign that community first, and then we focus on urban safety in Putra Heights. And we also powered by real voices and also creative storytelling. We're not just raising awareness, we are actually sparking conversation and creating tools for changes. Okay. Thank you all, Laksana, Infeng, Sajay Rao, for being part of this. And I will follow up soon with a shared drive and then timelines and also individual task lists. So let's make something powerful together. Okay? Fighting.
Right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.